Hi everybody, Brian here from touringplans.com. I was planning on filming a news video today and decided why not try and do a live one so I can answer your questions. Angela and I have been doing our Star Wars film rewatch on our YouTube channel here, but we haven't really been doing much in the way of just straight up live videos and answering questions and things like that. So I figured I would combine the two at once. Um, so while I am waiting for everybody to join in and get those questions rolling, and anybody watching, feel free to ask whatever questions you have, specifically about theme parks, but I'll take whatever you got. Um, let's start with what is the biggest news that was announced yesterday, and that is the ending date for Illuminations Reflections of Earth at Epcot. That will be September 30th of this year, of 2019, will be the last showing for Illuminations Reflections of Earth. Disney has said for quite a while now that the show would be going away at the end of the summer. This is the first time we have an official date for it. So September 30th, Illuminations Reflections of Earth will end. The next day, October 1st, 2019, will be the debut of Epcot Forever, the hilariously named show. Hilarious because it is not meant to be forever. This will be a temporary show to bridge the gap between Illuminations and when the real replacement show, I guess, starts. So that will be October 1st. I have a kitty visitor now. Come here, Lil. Come here. This is Lily. She is very nosy. So, um, but they last night they released this video here that I will kind of show you over the top of me talking about Epcot Forever, which will be the new show. Kat, can you stop rubbing on the computer and messing with my microphone? Um, so this is the reimagined Epcot entrance that they're doing a little bit. This is Soren. I'm not sure why any of this stuff is in here. I think they're just talking about what the history of Epcot that they're going to be rolling into this Forever show. So here we go. We've got people on jet skis. We've got kind of kites with LED tails, fireworks. This is the concept art that looks very nice for it, I will say. I think, for what is meant to be a temporary show, this doesn't seem to be cheap in any way, which is a good thing because, a cheap nighttime show is never a fun thing. Epcot Forever will, this is quotes from Disney now. It will be a limited time spectacle of fireworks, music, lighting, lasers, and choreographed special effects kites, like you saw in the video. The show will take us on a journey through the past, present, and future of Epcot, featuring a stirring collection of songs that paint a colorful picture of the park. This nighttime extravaganza will offer both a trip down memory lane and a look towards the future and all the magical possibilities still to come. It will continue into 2020 with the next epic nighttime extravaganza making its debut in 2020. So, looks like we've got at least 6 months to a year, maybe even 14 months or so of Epcot Forever. All right, we've got lots of questions rolling in. I should say, I know I did post a teaser to this on Facebook where I said maybe Angela would be here. Angela will not be here, unfortunately. We had a time mix-up, which happens occasionally because I am on Eastern time. She is on Central time, so occasionally we get our times a little crossed. So, unfortunately, she won't be visiting us today. But you will see her if you watch our next Star Wars rewatch, which also happens live on our YouTube channel on Friday. Our next one is Rogue One. And then starting next Friday, we get into the original trilogy, which will be much more fun than the prequels were. All right, first question here from Ron. Rumor is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is delayed until 2020. Have we heard anything? Nothing official. We've kind of been hearing the same whispers that everybody seems to have, in that initially we had heard that they wanted to open it this summer. Then we heard that they were definitely going to open it a little bit before Galaxy's Edge, or at the worst case scenario, kind of with Galaxy's Edge to help take the edge off of I didn't mean that pun. That helped take the edge, that's how I meant it, off of the crowds for Star Wars Land. Um, Now, all of a sudden, recently, we've been hearing this same thing that, oh, maybe it isn't opening this fall. Maybe it won't even be open, for Christmas time. I really don't know what to think. I would be surprised if they weren't doing everything they could to get this open, but I know because of the advanced dates for Galaxy's Edge, almost all of the construction work right now is going into Galaxy's Edge. So it's possible that they've had to pull people off of Mickey's Runaway Railway. I wouldn't be shocked about that. So, but until they say for sure, I'm going to just assume that it's going to open in the fall sometime. But it does seem like it's much more up in the air than they would have liked it to be. This is a good question, one that we definitely have been getting a lot from Farah here. She asked, "What's the crowd calendar expectation for Star Wars Land and Food and Wine sharing the same day?" That actually brings me into another news item, and that is that the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival dates have been announced, as are the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party dates and the Festival of Holiday dates. I'll start with Food and Wine since that was what the question was about. As you can see there, Food and Wine is starting August 29th and finishing up on November 23rd. I think that's what that says, right? Yeah. I have a button over that last date. I wanted to make sure I put it right in the graphic. The reason that start date is significant is because August 29th is the opening day for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios. I think this might actually help. It might make the resort as a whole worse than it would have been if it was just Galaxy's Edge. But I wonder if Disney's idea here was that, well, this will pull a lot of maybe the locals that don't want to deal with the Galaxy's Edge crowds. Will kind of pull them towards Epcot, and maybe even some of the guests that are there. Let's say you are there for a week and your trip starts on the 29th or the 30th. Maybe you would rather go to Food and Wine that first weekend and maybe wait a couple days on Galaxy's Edge, hoping that it will be a little better. It's possible it could help spread out the crowds. It's not really going to change the crowd calendar numbers. Our crowd calendar is based off of the wait times at the parks. So Food and Wine, it doesn't really impact that a ton. A lot of the people that are in Epcot for Food and Wine don't really tend to ride that many rides, or no more rides than the normal guest would anyway. They tend to be a lot of locals, people that are going there for meals, things like that. So they aren't getting on the ride. So it doesn't really push the crowd calendar numbers much higher. Now we do bump it a little bit because the park definitely feels more crowded. You will notice a lot more people in the walkways, things like that, but it won't necessarily impact the crowd numbers themselves. So the calendar won't seem much different. Crowds at Epcot, of course, will be higher than they would be without the festival. Hollywood Studios will be a madhouse for, definitely that week, the rest of 2019 and probably quite a bit of 2020. Um, so let's see. Sandy here asks, what is my favorite table service restaurants in each Disney World theme park? That is a little bit tricky. Magic Kingdom right now. Disney World restaurants are tricky because the food isn't all that goes into it. A lot of it is the theme, if there are characters, things like that. Um, I would say probably, I think Skipper Canteen is my current favorite one in the Magic Kingdom that I can think of. Um, Be Our Guest, I've never been really that thrilled with the food. I love the way it looks. Same with Cinderella's Royal Table. I mean, the princesses are great. The food is fine, but it's super expensive. A lot of the table service restaurants in the Magic Kingdom are character based. So you have Crystal Palace, you have Cinderella Royal Table. There is Be Our Guest, which is sort of character based. It is based on a movie anyway. So I think I would go with Skipper Canteen, although that's a tougher one. Epcot is also tough. There are a lot I like and not many I love. I actually like the food at Rose and Crown, although you definitely have to be into, more of an English style, heavier food, which Florida heat doesn't always go well with. Tokyo dining is very good. Um, I'm trying to think of others. I'm sure I am missing other restaurants in there. Of course, anybody watching, chime in with your favorites too. I'm having trouble thinking. I ate at Le Chef de France once a few years ago, and I didn't really like it. I've never eaten at Monsieur Paul, the signature restaurant in the France Pavilion. I hear that's very good. Animal Kingdom's the easiest one. It's Tiffin's. Tiffin's is the best table service restaurant there, and I don't really think there's much of an argument with that. Hollywood Studios, it's the Brown Derby. Same thing. That one's a pretty easy one. Um, let's see here. I've been hearing my little chime that of comments going off quite a bit, so that is good. I love getting all the questions. It makes this so much easier for me. Um, this is an interesting one that I hadn't seen before, actually. Kenny the Pirate mentioned that Disney no longer offering, can't speak though, will no longer be offering extra magic hours starting in October. I have not heard that one at all. And I believe they have extra magic hours on their schedule. I'll look here kind of as I'm talking. Of course, Disney's page is, not loading super great, which is not, which is unfortunately not uncommon. I would be a little bit surprised at that. That is kind of one of their selling points with staying on site is that you get extra magic hours. Yeah, they have the calendar currently you can see as far as October 7th, and they have extra magic hours on here for most days I am seeing. Yeah, I'm seeing all four parks listing up to October 7th with an early extra magic hour at Animal Kingdom Park. So at least through October 7th, they are still listing extra magic hours. I haven't heard that at all. I would be a little bit surprised if they decided to do that. I know, obviously, the after hours events where you pay basically for extra magic hours, but there are far fewer people in the park. I know they're doing very well. So, great. Now the cat's in the kitchen knocking things off the counter. That's fun. Um, yeah, but still, that it would take a lot of the benefit out of staying on site if you didn't get the extra magic hours. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would do if that happened. I'm just hoping it doesn't. Um, let's see. Let's see. Kevin here asks, he has a breakfast reservation at 8 a.m. at Hollywood Studios in September. I think if you paid the no-show fee, you could go straight to Galaxy's Edge and get in. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions like this, trying to kind of get ahead of the crowds. Um, I don't really know the answer for that. I have a feeling that they won't let you at 8 necessarily line up, but um, at the Magic Kingdom, if you have a pre-opening reservation at Cinderella Table or Be Our Guest, where you are in Fantasyland already, they do let you line up for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train or Peter Pan, and if there is not an early morning magic event at the time, they will actually let you ride those. Um, I think maybe 2 summers ago now, I was there with my family. We did Cinderella Royal Table. We got out at about quarter to 9. The park opened at 9, and we thought, oh well, let's go over and get in line for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, so we don't have to wait. Turns out they were running it already, and we got to ride I think 3 times with absolutely no one there. Until and at that, and we could have ridden it again, except at that time we could see the big crowd coming from the hub being let in at park opening. So we decided not to. The 3 was fine. We just went. I think we did go over to Peter Pan actually and rode that before the crowd got there. Um, so it's possible they will do something like that where If you have a dining reservation and you're in the park already, they'll kind of put you like towards the front of the crowd then. But September is going to be real weird. I still wouldn't be surprised if they ended up opening Hollywood Studios at 8 a.m. every day until January. Um, I think I don't think it will be very long before they have paid early morning magic style events for Galaxy's Edge. And some people in touring plans. I know Steve Bloom, our statistician, who we did a live show with a few weeks ago. He thinks they will start early morning magic events almost immediately to get people to pay for that access, and they will. I certainly would. Um, so I don't know that it would actually help, but I'd hold on to that. Obviously, I don't necessarily condone, just skipping out on the reservation, even though you are willing to pay the fee for it. But I'm not against working the system. I don't know if I would necessarily go that far for it, but yeah, I think it could certainly work. I would maybe hang on to that idea for a little while until we see how the operations are going to work for Hollywood Studios. Again, for both Animal Kingdom with Pandora and Hollywood Studios with Toy Story Land, they had a lot of extra magic hours, like daily extra magic hours for a few months after it. It seems almost definite that they're going to do something like that. So it might be that the park just opens at 8 a.m. and then it really won't help you at all. So, um, let's see. Joanne here asked about my opinion on mid-July to mid-August crowds given the opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in late August. I think if you are not particularly interested in Star Wars, or at least in Galaxy's Edge, or in enormous crowds, July and August could be a real advantage this year. Summer crowds have been down already the last couple of years. The combination of the heat definitely doesn't help. The fact that it in the past has been more crowded, uh, and that now things are more expensive in the summer. The tickets are a little more expensive. The hotel rooms are a little bit more expensive, or they're starting to balance that a little bit now. So summer has been not slow by any means, but not where summers were. Um, and combining that with this year, with Galaxy's Edge opening right at the end of August, and people potentially pushing their vacations until that happens, it could be a fairly reasonable summer. I don't know offhand what our crowd calendar numbers look like. I can look right now actually, but my guess is that there's going to be a pretty fair amount of like, sixes and things in there that maybe would have been eights in the past. So let's jump to July. Yeah, July 6th and 7th, a Saturday, Sunday, we have a 6 resort wide. There's some 5s in here. It's basically 5, 6, and 7s is what we're predicting that whole time, which is for summer is pretty nice actually. Um, that's about the mid-April, like after the Easter rush. That's about what we're predicting. Um, the end of May around Memorial Day. We've got, sixes, sevens. Memorial Day itself is a 9. The day before that is a 10. The rest of that week are like sixes and sevens. So like you're looking at pretty moderate crowds. That's not a bad time to go, I don't think at all. Sorry. I heard my phone buzz over there. I wanted to make sure my kids are at school, but do have to make sure that it's not the not the school calling. Um, so before I forget about it, I did mention before that it said the Food and Wine Festival now is August 29th to November 23rd. That's very late. November 23rd is the latest it's ever gone. The Eat to the Beat concert series will only run August 29th till November 19th. Have to end that a few days earlier because they have to start getting ready for Candlelight Processional, because Festival of the Holidays starts November 29th. 6 days in between festivals this year, which sounds crazy. It is very conceivable you could have one vacation where you visit Food and Wine and celebrate the holidays at Epcot And you could definitely have gone to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, because Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party starts November 8th, just like it did last year, and it runs all the way till December 22nd, which is also pretty late for that. Usually 21st, 22nd might be the latest date I've actually seen there. So only 3 days before Christmas they have these running too. So just wanted to get to that before I forgot to do it. Um, let's see. Here's one that I love talking about. Ron asks if Touring Plans has anything planned for opening days for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We do, actually. There will be several Touring Plan staff members at both openings. Len Testa, our fearless leader, will be at both of them. I, myself, and Guy Selga will be with him in Disneyland at the end of May. And then Angela and I know Steve Bloom and I believe David Davies, I think will all be at the opening in Florida in the end of August. So we will be doing, I will have lots of video that I will be taking throughout the day that it opens. Hopefully, I will be getting that video up, that day or the next day. That will depend a lot on, my schedule and things like, Wi-Fi at the hotel and stuff like that, because I will not be the only one trying to upload large videos using Disney Wi-Fi. So, I do not know. I doubt we will be doing any big formal meet and greets necessarily, because our schedules will be pretty crazy just with research projects. But we will definitely be around. We might do some kind of impromptu meets, and we will be around. So anybody that sees us in the parks on those days, absolutely come say hi. I will be in my normal maroon Touring Plans t-shirt and pointing a camera at my face, which is just how I tour the parks now. Some other suggestions I see for best table service restaurants here. Garden Grill in Epcot, which is a character meal, but it is good. That is actually one of my favorite character meals. I like the kind of old-timiness of the turntable restaurant in the land there, and the food I think is above average, definitely, for character meals. Jeff also suggests Via Napoli, which I totally forgot about. I do like Via Napoli. I haven't been as crazy about the pizza there in the last maybe 2 years as I was when they first opened, but it's still very good, and it is definitely one of the better places in Epcot. Let's see. Maggie here asks about Galaxy's Edge opening and its effect on other Universal and other parks. We don't really think there's going to be much of an effect. And there will probably be some effect on the other Disney parks, because there will be people that make this their vacation to come see the opening of Galaxy's Edge, or that are coming for Thanksgiving or something anyway, and or maybe have put off a trip for a few months, things like that, But we don't tend to see a big bump at other parks when big things open. And we've looked back at like Cars Land and California Adventure, at the ones at Disney World with New Fantasyland and Pandora, even Universal with the Harry Potter stuff. It tends to bump the park it's in and have a very small bump to the kind of sister parks. So I don't think it's going to be real noticeable when you're outside of Hollywood Studios. And Universal, I doubt there will be much of a bump at all. I think if I'm sure there will be some people that are doing this as their big family trip and doing both. But I think most people going to Galaxy's Edge are going for Galaxy's Edge and aren't necessarily interested in going over to Universal, or they're doing a Universal trip. My family, we're actually going to Universal this summer, partially because we're waiting to take the kids to Disney next year when the crowds are maybe less wild for Galaxy's Edge. So I think some people will do that instead, because the new thing opening at Universal this year is Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure. I think that might be it. That opens June 13th, so that's opening very early in the summer. So anybody wanting to visit there can just go in the summer or, anytime, basically. Um, Oh, and clarification on the extra magic hours. It said the rumor is that the evening extra magic hours at Magic Kingdom are being eliminated. So, um, yeah, I mean, again, it might be. I have not heard that yet, and I don't remember seeing it anywhere else. But let me see. Do they list? They so far for October they do not list any evening extra magic hours at the Magic Kingdom. So um, there are two morning extra magic hours so far in October, but there are no evening ones. So and there we can see a full week of October. So I guess it is possible. I could see, especially if they do decide to do um, daily extra magic hours at Hollywood Studios. Let's say they decide to do an 8 a.m. opening and a 10 p.m. closing every day at Hollywood Studios after Galaxy's Edge opens, with an extra magic hour on both sides, or an extra magic hour on the front side, then two extra magic hours on the back side. That's a long operational day. I could see them maybe pulling staff from the Magic Kingdom to compensate for that. Um, I really hope they don't eliminate. I mean, I personally don't really go to the evening extra magic hours because I'm 70 years old and go to bed at 8 p.m. But I think that would be a big loss. So, but that one definitely seems more plausible than eliminating it all. um, John here helps me out by mentioning the new restaurant at City Walk, just so I can make fun of the name. And actually, this was another news item that I had. This is the concept art. This was announced yesterday by Universal. This is Big Fire. And yes, that is the name, Big Fire. The funny thing with this is that they posted this yesterday on the Universal Orlando blog and then took it down last night. Deleted the tweet, took the post down. Don't really know why. We've known for quite a while that was not only what the restaurant was going to be, but what it was going to be called. I think I'd heard Big Fire Grill before, but it seems to just be Big Fire, which is a name certainly. I think it was named by a caveman. There it is, Big Fire on the bun of their bison burger. It is all wood fired. It is themed like a lakeside lodge and has fireplaces and outdoor fire pits and oversized plaid blankets, which I don't know about you, but a nice July evening in Orlando, Florida, what I really need is fire and a blanket. So, but the food actually sounds pretty good. They have this. That's the bison burger again. They have this charcuterie board that looks pretty nice. Looks like it has a little cheese dip and everything in there. And then they have this baked Alaska right there with complete with flame. So I think if it's like a lot of the more recent Universal Orlando restaurants, I think the food will be pretty good, and it does seem to look nice. Just the name and the concept seems strange for Orlando. Um, Big Fire, man, it is pretty ridiculous. Um, Scott asks why something he's always wondered: why does Epcot close so early? Uh, we don't know actually. We've never quite gotten a straight answer from Disney on how they deal with their operating hours at all, other than that they say it is based on crowds. Um, but we've been tracking the park hours for, geez, I think I've been doing it for 7 or 8 years now. And I think I went back a year or two. So I think we have like 8 or 9 years of park hour data and all the changes they've made and all that stuff. And the most reliable park by miles is Epcot. The hours almost never change. They almost never go past 9 p.m. except on, Christmas week and things like that, where, they'll bump it to 10. And weekends during Food and Wine, a lot of times they'll do either a 9:30 p.m. or a 10 p.m. closing. But the hours, a lot of the other parks, as the date gets closer, the hours will bump out a little bit as they basically they pre-schedule the shortest amount of hours possible, um, and then they will extend those if necessary, if it's going to be more crowded. And Epcot just doesn't change. I think this last stat I looked at was something like 1.5% of days at Epcot have changed hours. The next lowest park, I think at the time, was Animal Kingdom at something like 30% of hours had changed. It's like 50-50 at Magic Kingdom whether they're going to change, and that it's almost always extended. They've almost never shrink hours. I think they've done it like twice in the last 8 years. But Epcot's always, I mean, opens at 9, closes at 9, like 85% of the year, 90% of the year. It's just like clockwork. And honestly, I don't know why, but it is interesting. Um, Kelly has some very nice things to say about touring plans, and thank you very much, Kelly. That is excellent. Had I guess I should put that up. It is very nice. Longest line they waited in was 12 minutes, so that is excellent to hear. It is very nice to hear that our product works as well as we think it does. Um, oh, here's another new thing that has recently popped up that Angie asked about: the Villains After Hours. So this is a similar to the Magic Kingdom After Hours, which is basically extra magic hours, except you pay for it and there are fewer people. I did do it once. There is a video. If you search for it on our YouTube page here, you will find my video from a little while ago. And it's nice. There's just like nobody there. So you want to ride a bunch of stuff after hour, and you can fit it in your budget. After hours is a good deal. Villains After Hours is something they are doing this summer on select dates, and I will look up those dates here as I am talking. But it is basically the same as After Hours, except there are a couple of extra things. There is a villains themed show, I believe, is one of them, and it's hard to find. There are so many After Hours events. Here we go. So it is June 6, 13, 20, 27, July 1, 11, 18, 25, and August 1 and 8 are the dates. And here I will try to pull this up while I'm talking here. But will this work? Let's see here. Come on. Never mind. So that might not work. But anyway, so what this does? Oh, there we go. There's the Villains After Hours dates. It doesn't look as nice as some of my other graphics, but so it is at the Magic Kingdom. It will cost you $139 per person plus tax. That is for adults or children. There is no separation. There is a new stage show featuring Hades and Meg from Hercules. There are enhancements to Pirates of the Caribbean in Space Mountain, special food and merch options, and a roaming Maleficent the Dragon, which is the one that breathes fire normally seen in the Festival of Fantasy parade. Presumably, Maleficent won't just be roaming randomly. It will be, on the parade route or controlled, especially after her head caught on fire that one time last year, I think. The enhancements to Pirates of the Caribbean and Space Mountain, I wonder if it's going to be like they did at the Not So Scary Halloween party last year, where they turned out all the lights in Space Mountain. And I know it doesn't seem like there are a lot of lights in Space Mountain, but there apparently are, because without them, it's real dark. Pirates of the Caribbean, they just kind of had a guy on the bridge yelling about finding some pirate and like two people in the queue. So Um, that wasn't my favorite thing, but there is at least extras. Anyway, so the question was, do I think it will be more crowded than the regular after hours events? I think at least initially, yes. I think there are a lot of people that really, really like the Disney villains and will go out of their way to go to an event that is even tangentially about the villains. Um, Now, after the first few, like say after those June dates, if people are a little bit disappointed in it, then that might start to drop. But if it gets really good reviews, then I think, yeah, I think they're going to be busier than the regular ones. Now, there are still only limited numbers of tickets that they sell for these things, so I don't think it's going to be as busy even as a Halloween party or something like that. And there are always the rides, and were a lot of rides open for after hours. If there are the same number of rides open, there is going to be plenty to do still, even if you're not necessarily interested in the villains. Andrew asks if I have been back to club level. Another video I did was at the beach club level room, which was my first time there, and my last time. I haven't been back, unfortunately, because club level, if you're not familiar, at Disney World, it is a more expensive room, but it is on a special floor where they also have a club lounge. And the lounge basically puts out food and snacks and things throughout the day that is no extra charge. So you pay extra for the room, but if you really wanted to, you could eat quite a few meals in that lounge. And they also have alcoholic drinks, especially during the afternoon, which is nice, to go back and grab a beer if you want. There is the food is substantial enough. Well, I guess if you really want more about it, you can check out the video. I don't need to explain everything, but I really, really liked it. I haven't done it actually. When my family and I go to Universal over the summer, we are staying at Hard Rock, at their version of club level that I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but just because we got a really good deal on that room. For whatever reason, it ended up only being like $30 or $40 a night more than the regular room was. I don't know why. And we figured, well, even if we only eat like one or two, sometimes in there, even only breakfast in there, it's probably coming pretty darn close to breaking even. So might as well do it. So I will definitely have videos about I'll have several videos about the Hard Rock and about that to see how not only how it is but how it compared to the beach club. So, and I'm going to apologize in advance here because you guys have been awesome with the questions, and as always, I talk way too much, especially when Angela's not here to move us along. So I may not get to everybody's question before I have to go, but I will do my best. Let's see. CH here says, I've never done a rope drop. How soon does Disney allow folks to park or get dropped off to wait at the gates? That is a little bit trickier. I believe officially the parking lots open, and I'm sure somebody will be able to jump in and let me know as well. I believe the parking lots open I think it's 2 hours before the official opening time, somewhere around there. Let me see here. I don't know. I'm seeing things now here that the official time is only 1 hour, but the reason this is a trickier one to answer is because they have official times that things start like this, and then the actual time, and the actual time kind of depends on however they feel at the time. I think because it will definitely be open at least an hour before the park. I think that is their official stance. I think unofficially, they tend to open at about 2 hours before, if it's not an extra magic hour, and closer to around an hour, maybe even 45 minutes if it is an extra magic hour. And I think At like Magic Kingdom, it's probably earlier because of the travel time it takes to get from the transportation and ticket center where you have to park all the way over to the park. And a lot of times the Magic Kingdom opens their gates an hour early on a regular opening day, and you can't ride anything at that time, but you can get in and get onto Main Street and grab a coffee if you want, or do some shopping, or line up in the hub getting ready to go to your first attraction. So in order to do that, obviously you'd have to get to the TTC at least an half hour, 45 minutes before you want to be at the park. In some cases, um, so they will definitely open that one at least an hour, probably an hour and a half early. Your best bet with that a lot of times is just to kind of ask at the concierge desk if you're staying at a Disney hotel, or um, and somebody there commented that at Disneyland they open an hour before the park or 30 minutes before on days with extra magic hour, and I think Disney World is going to be a little bit earlier than that. Um, if you are taking a hotel bus, I know they start running about an hour and a half or so before the park opens. Um, but it's real fluid, unfortunately. I think if you get to the park an hour before it opens to park, in most cases you'll be just fine. If you're going to Animal Kingdom, I would aim to get there around an hour and a half early and park, or well, hour 15 maybe, because they actually do start running Flight of Passage early. They start running that 20 minutes or so early, and they will start letting you in. Same thing, about an hour before it opens, they'll start letting you kind of into the park to line up inside. And I know it's a lot of work, and it can be very annoying, but it is nice when you can just go back to the hotel in the middle of the day knowing that you've ridden all the big rides already. Um, so let's see. Maggie here asks if I think Disney will open a brand new park. Um, I don't think so. I really don't. I don't. I have. It's been a long time since we've heard about the fabled fifth gate, the fifth theme park at Disney World. Um, they There were rumors for a while, but now it seems like they are focused on expanding their existing parks and, frankly, fixing some of them. I mean, Hollywood Studios was pretty messy for quite a while. It's still going to be a little bit messy. The layout's just weird at that park. But at least with Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land and a potential you know, extra expansion that they may be doing in the next few years that there have been rumors of for quite a while. Um, that will kind of complete that park. Pandora at Animal Kingdom helped with that one, and they still have a pretty big expansion pad at Animal Kingdom they can use. They're adding the Tron coaster now to Magic Kingdom, which is already pretty full. They seem to be doing a lot of work at Epcot, which is very needed. They're adding two major attractions to that in the next couple of years, plus, redoing some of the movies. They're doing something finally with the Wonders of Life Pavilion. They're redoing the whole look of it. So I think they're focusing right now all of their money on getting the parks fleshed out a little bit more and getting them more, they're still adding capacity by doing all that stuff. They're going to be helping crowd flow with some of this redesign that they're doing. So I think the parks will get better. I don't think there will be an extra one. Now at Universal, it seems basically definite that Universal is building a third park. The land is already cleared. They are Universal, so they won't announce it until, 6 months before the park opens, I'm sure. That's only kind of a joke. They announced the Hagrid coaster, 4 months in advance, even though they were like you could see the track already, and they were like testing cars on it. Universal is almost comical at how late they wait to announce things, but but they have already cleared all the land. They have permits filed and everything for construction. They are building a third theme park. It probably won't open until 2023 to 2025 range. Theme park takes a while to build, But yeah, and Jeff here has a good point back to the extra magic hour stuff. The extra magic hour changes could always be related to construction, which is possible. If they want to start doing more work on Tron, that would give them more time to do it overnight. Um, so that is possible. We'll see that as we start getting more hours for October, November, December. We'll start to see we'll start to see more about that. Um, and then let's see here. Pamela asks, when will we be able to make reservations at Oga's Cantina? I um I I don't think you will. I think it's supposed to be quick service. Um, but I don't know. I think I don't know exactly how they're going to do Oga's Cantina. Oga's Cantina, of course, is the kind of bar restaurant in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It looks, kind of like the cantina at the in Mos Eisley from Star Wars: The Motion Picture, but there will certainly be there certainly will be long lines for oh, there she is.
Hi,
Um,
everyone.
See, she made it after all. Um, I was just answering. Pamela here asked about whether there would be reservations for Oga's Cantina, Galaxy's Edge, and I don't know because I have always been kind of under the impression that it was quick service,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
that's what I kind of thought too. I
Yep.
mean, then
Hold on.
again,
Sorry,
be
I
our
gotta plug my
guest is quick
headphones in here. You're
service too.
probably echoing on everybody. Go ahead. You can keep
Okay.
talking. I'll fix it.
Be our guest was supposed to be quick service too, and they have reservations for that. So I guess it just depends on the lines and how busy it's going to be and how much sit down there is. So it remains to be seen. Yeah, sorry guys. I was on a work call, so
I
I'm
told
so
them
glad to be
we
here.
got a little mixed up on our time changes as usual.
I used to be so good with the time difference, and then I don't know, I think like spring bloomed and the time difference changed, daylight savings, and then now I never get it right. We did a podcast the other day, and thank God I was home, but I was an hour late than what I thought.
All right. Well, here's one I'll let you answer from Daniel. What do you think about paid fast passes? Do you think it's only a matter of time, and will it be a slow introduction, or you just have to pay? What do you think will happen with that? What's your instinct?
I think it's inevitable, but I think people who are like Walt Disney World people like you and I think they will be mad. But I think it's where it's going, but we're going to be upset because, I mean, Disneyland has introduced Max Pass, so I think they're kind of trying it out there, but they're not really used to doing Fast Passes the way we are. So I think it's going that way.
I I think I think it's both actually. I think it is absolutely inevitable that we will have to pay for something like that.
Hmm.
But I think I'd be a little surprised if they replaced FastPass Plus with something that is paid. They already have, if you are staying at a club level, we talked about club level a
Yep.
little bit before, where you can pay extra and get what is it,
More.
three or six more a day, something like that. I forget
Three
what it
for
is.
like $50, and then you can make them 90 days in
You can make them
advance.
90 days in advance instead of 60. Yeah. Um, and there hasn't really been much pushback on that from what I've heard. Initially, there were people saying, "Oh, this is the start. This is where it's going,"
But it's an
um,
extra too.
and I could see that happening. I could see them introducing something. I mean, the Max Pass we don't really need. Max Pass at Disneyland is a way that you can make fast passes using the app instead of having they still have the paper fast pass system. If
Mhm.
for those of you who remember that, where you have to actually walk to the attraction to get the fast pass. So with Max Pass, you don't have to do that, but you do have to pay. It is believe now $15 a day, and is included with a lot of annual passes and stuff. Um, Disney World, they don't need that because you can already make the fast passes on your phone. But I could definitely see them where you would pay for more, or you would pay for, you know, access
Sooner.
10 days before you're 60 or so. I can absolutely think that is coming.
Do you think that maybe, do you think that I was watching myself on YouTube. There's a 20-second delay. I got distracted. Do you think that they would just maybe up the prices of certain things like the room, or maybe up the prices of park tickets and kind of factor that into the fast pass price? I've maybe probably more park tickets
Yeah,
and then have that kind
I
of be
mean,
it.
there's been rumors for years that they were going to start tiering the fast passes, where like deluxe hotels would get more or make them sooner, and then
Mhm.
moderates, and then values, and they kind of got away from. I haven't heard those in a while, and I don't like. That seems very. I mean, Disney isn't exactly free
Right.
of class segregation as it is.
I
That seems
know.
like it's a little too far there, but yeah, I could absolutely see just having you pay for like add-on extras for Fast Pass, and that would just add up to a ridiculous amount of money. Um, Here's another Galaxy's Edge question. I did talk before about our coverage of Galaxy's Edge going
Okay.
forward. So,
Okay.
Kyle asks how early people are going to be allowed to line up for Galaxy's Edge at Disney World. Um, we don't know. They
Yeah.
not only Disney has not said anything about operations at Disney World at all, and they've said almost nothing about
Mm.
operations at Disneyland. One thing we do kind of know, there was an OC Register article about Disneyland. It's the one that where they said that they are how they were going to deal with the reservations after June 24th, after
Mhm.
from May 31st to June 24th, you are going to need a reservation to enter Galaxy's Edge. If you are staying at one of the Disneyland hotels, the Disneyland Hotel Grand Californian or Paradise Pier, will automatically get a reservation. Um, I believe it is one per person over the length of your stay. If you are not staying at one, we don't know how that's going to work. But they did say this article in the OC Register said that after June 24th, uh, you will still have to make a reservation, but the impression I got from it, and it doesn't explicitly say this, is that it will be similar to like the Max Pass, where when you get into the park, you will be able to make a reservation that will be kind of first come first serve in the park. They do mention in there that on both May 31st and June 24th, they will be allowing overnight queuing.
Really?
Yes, and
I thought they weren't going to do that. I'm
yeah,
surprised.
I was a little for June 24th. I'm not really. That's kind of what made me think that this was going to be a first come first serve thing. May
Yeah.
31st, the only thing we can think of is that it's either going to be merch related, that it's just people lining up for a specific the
Yeah.
the I was there, Galaxy's Edge shirt or
Yeah.
whatever, or that for anyone that is not a hotel guest, that it is still going to be first come first serve kind of thing, and that's why they are allowing it. Um, I think that they're going to wait on a lot of the WDW stuff until they see how Disneyland goes.
Hmm.
But I think that is an interesting precedent, and I wouldn't be surprised if they set up, say, in like the closest parking lot or something, an overnight pen or whatever you want to call it
Yeah.
for people to wait at Hollywood Studios.
Gosh, I mean, they have to somehow regulate that because that would just be crazy otherwise. So I think you're right, having an overnight pen makes the most sense. And then somehow regulating a line. But for Star Wars, that line is going to get crazy if someone feels like they're being cut in front of or
Yeah.
something. I mean, this is going to be unlike anything we've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, Disney might be I mean, Disney is certainly not perfect as far as crowd control goes, but they're probably the best out there as far as how this
Yeah.
works. So I'm sure and they know what's coming. I'm sure they're thinking about it. And there are ways. I mean, if you ever, I've gone and gotten like concert tickets and stuff where you've gotten wristbanded with numbers on it. So there's
Hmm.
no official line, but like
Yeah.
you just, go by your number. I mean, they can do stuff like that. But the problem they're going to run into is whatever time they tell people they can start lining up, there will be a line of people waiting to line up for that time.
Before that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even if it's overnight queuing, there will be people there that morning at 9 a.m. waiting to get into the overnight. Like it's never going to be enough time for people to.
Well, it kind of makes me happy that I'm going to the Walt Disney World opening and that you're going to the Disneyland one because then I don't have to deal with figuring that out because by then we'll know more and they'll kind of know how to regulate that a little
and
better.
and it makes me very happy that I have a Disney hotel reservation in California, so that I
Oh
getting
gosh.
got will be given an automatic reservation, not have to
Are you
line up. Hopefully,
are you staying at Disneyland Hotel?
for a couple days, yeah. I
Okay.
like 2 of my nights I'm staying there, and 2 nights I'm staying on one of the hotels on Harbor.
Have you
So
stayed on property before?
no, not out there. I haven't. So this
That's
will
so
be my first
exciting.
time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because we're at Disneyland, for anybody who hasn't been, and I know Angela hasn't been.
Mhm.
Angela, I pointed the wrong way. That one. They Because you know, the reason Walt wanted to build Walt Disney World, as we all know, is because he didn't like that outside businesses could just build right next to Disneyland.
Mhm.
The good part of that is that there are a lot of pretty cheap and, reasonable hotels a block away from Disneyland.
Yeah.
So the times I've gone with the family, we've always kind of just said, well, it's 4 times the price to stay at the Disneyland hotel than it is to stay at, this Holiday Inn equivalent right across the street. So we'll just do that. So that's kind of what we've always done.
That'll be so exciting though. I mean, I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited for me too, but like, I mean, you get to be there in the middle of the action the first time that
Yeah.
it's happening. Oh man, I need lots of footage and Instagram stuff on our
Oh, there
touring
will be.
plans
That's
Instagram
what I
site.
said. Yeah, there will be. Well, Guy will be there with me, so the 2 of us will, I'm sure, be posting a lot on social media. I am hoping to get a video up either that day, depending on when my reservation to get into the land is. I hope it's early in the morning, so then I can shoot all the video, and then when they make me leave in like the afternoon, I can go back to the hotel and upload all the video and stuff like that. Um,
Make sure
so,
you're following us here at Touring Plans on YouTube and on Instagram. We're just
oh
Touring
yes.
Plans on Instagram so that you have access to
There will
everything
be a
too.
lot. I'm sure you will be able to find no shortage of Galaxy's Edge coverage on the internet, but ours will be the best, and I am 100% biased on that. So
Yeah, well, we have to be. Any other questions you want to cover? Gosh, there's so many coming in. We haven't done
there
one of these
is there.
live chats in so long. I'm excited.
Well, as I said, that's why I decided I was going to do just a normal news video today, and I thought, you know what, it's been so long since we've done one. Um, let's see here. Um, Rubber Ducky Fam here asks about the Jurassic World ride. He's seen, some of the video shots about there is a new Jurassic World coaster that is coming. Um, Probably the best coverage on that is what is it? Orlando Park Stop, I think. Yes, Orlando Park Stop has a lot of good. They are a blog that specializes in rumors, and they are pretty accurate as far as I can tell with a lot of their stuff. So they have a lot of details about it if you want to see. His specific question is if the original Jurassic Park ride is still operating or the new one is replacing the older. Depends on which coast you're talking about. In Universal Orlando, I almost called it Universal Orlando Hollywood, which would be a fun park. Universal Studios Hollywood, the Jurassic Park River Adventure is being replaced by a new, I believe it is still kind of a boat rapids type thing that is Jurassic World themed, that is supposed to open this summer sometime, as last I heard. In Orlando, they are building a roller coaster that is completely new. It is not replacing the River Adventure at all. It is going to be kind of on ground that is surrounding the like Discovery Center thing there. It is kind of going around that. And if
That'll
you
be so fun.
yeah, if you look at Orlando Park Stop, you can find, they have maps and everything about how that's going to work. So
I want to answer Margaret's question. Plans
absolutely.
for when raining. Okay, plans for when raining is go to the parks. So we went in January and it was freezing and it was pouring, not like the Florida, like it rains for like 10 minutes really hard and then it stops. No, it was pouring rain the entire day and night. But we went anyway. We went to Magic Kingdom. I think it was supposed to be a 4 or a 5 on the crowd calendar and it ended up being like a one. There was no one there. So if it rains, go anyway. Then they do the rainy day parade, which is super cute. But there's no one in the parks. I think I took a picture that I'll post at some point. And yeah, it's dead. And you just like walk onto rides. There's no wait because no one wants to be there because they're like, oh, well, it's wet, it's cold, and then they leave, so it's dead. So always go to the parks when it's raining. That always ends up being my best days there. So, I mean, but if you really don't want to be in the rain, then you can like, I don't know. What else could you do? You could just go to your room and they always have activities at the resorts that you could do. But honestly, I would
Yeah,
just go to the parks.
I mean, yeah, if you don't want to be out in the rain, I would say it's a great time to check out some of the deluxe resorts.
Yeah.
I
Do
mean,
the lounges.
yeah, I mean, resorts, Animal Kingdom Lodge, like Wilderness Lodge, Grand Floridian, like those that have those big, you can spend a lot of time kind of inside doing that stuff if you want, um, but yeah, it's I agree. I love being in the parks when it's rain. Not necessarily when it's like pouring, but when it's like just that kind of light annoying rain, it's perfect. There's nobody around.
Yeah,
Um,
it's dead.
John says Raptor Rampage will be at Islands of Adventure in 2 years. Had not heard a name for it, but
That would
that's
be
a
cool.
good name. Universal. I was making fun of their Big Fire restaurant name earlier, but Raptor Rampage is a pretty good name actually.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
It says it all. Like you might almost die in it.
yeah.
Like
Um,
jokingly.
let's see. There was one I saw. Just a comment here about Star Tours opening at Disneyland from somebody that was there that they were open 60 hours straight, and at one point the line stretched out of the park and out onto Harbor Boulevard for over
Oh
half a mile.
my gosh.
And I think that is exactly why they have decided that this one is reservation only. Because I think they understand that if they just let people line up, people would be lying. Let's see, it opens May 31st. I bet people would line up on no later than May probably 23rd, and just would camp out, and it would be a mess. And
Oh.
so I think that is exactly why they have done this. Louise here asks about the Disney Skyliner, which
Mhm.
is the gondola system, the kind of overhead gondola system. I'm sure if you've been on social media at all, I'm sure you've seen the pictures of it testing. She asks if it will go to Epcot before the Riviera opens. So Riviera is the new hotel being built kind of on what used to be Caribbean Beach property, is now next to Caribbean Beach. That
And
is.
people are buying points for that today.
Oh, are they really? Oh, I didn't see
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Um, and that opens in December, mid-December, December 16th, I think. And the Skyliner is supposed to be opening kind of any time now. I mean, I think they've said
Yeah.
summer, but like they're testing and they have a lot of cars on. Like, I wouldn't be real shocked if we started seeing, like, you know, either human tests or,
Well,
dummies
they
shaped
did.
like humans test. Oh, did they
They
do that already?
they put out a video of workers inside
Hmm.
being test subjects.
Yeah.
So,
So, I
yeah.
mean, it's only what, April? I mean, I would imagine by June at the latest, we might see that running now. Assuming everything goes okay, and assuming people inside don't melt and catch fire from the lack of air conditioning.
Oh
Um,
wow.
but
Man.
but I believe it will. We haven't heard anything that it wouldn't be running to through the Riviera station and to Caribbean Beach, even with Riviera not opening. I hadn't really thought of that actually, and I don't remember offhand if we've seen testing on that line. Um, but
Well, they keep talking about like the pop and art of animation line. That's what they keep talking about on
that
social
that
media.
line is definitely testing, and the line from Caribbean Beach to Hollywood Studios is definitely testing.
Mhm.
So um, I I wonder if they're going to end up doing it in phases,
Mhm.
where maybe they open the maybe they open those two sections first, Caribbean Beach to Hollywood Studios and Caribbean Beach to Pop Art of Animation, and then add the other ones as they go. I doubt they would wait for December to open the rest of it, just because as we talked about, the Hollywood studios crowds are going to be pretty intense in, with Galaxy's Edge, and if the people staying at like Beach and Yacht can also, I don't know why you would necessarily use the Skyliner over the boats to get there, but maybe that will be a selling point. Like, oh look, now you have two ways to get from Hollywood
Yeah.
Studios if you really want to, or something
Well,
like that.
three if you can walk. So we are getting questions about the DAS pass. We can put a video together on that because I know that that's something a lot of people are curious about. So I made a note to make a video about it. I'm going to Walt Disney World in like 20 days, so I will
Ooh.
try to get a little bit of footage if I can to get more information and do a video about that. Um, yes, and how will Disney accommodate the DAS pass and rider switch for smugglers run if there's not a fast pass available at first? I'm sure it's something that they're, working on right now. We don't really have much information at the moment, so once we do, we will address that. And BW said, is there any difference in which week one would pick to visit in September? Well, it really depends right now. Normally, we would have more to say on the subject, but with Galaxy's Edge kind of opening, it changes things. That being said, we always say kind of earlier in September when school starts is kind of the better time to go because school's in session. There's not as many people in the park, and then kind of the closer you get to Halloween, the busier the parks tend to get.
Mm-hmm.
You can always check out our crowd calendar as we do have kind of the better times to go when you can check that out on our website.
Yeah. And I was just trying to look it looks like that is the section that they haven't been running too many gondolas through. I found pictures of gondolas going from like Riviera to Epcot, but it's like one. They don't have them all on the line. It looks like so. My guess is, and the Epcot and Riviera stations seem to be a little bit behind construction wise to the other ones. So I wonder if that's exactly what they're going to do is maybe test out the system by only running those two sections. So um, let's see. We'll try to do a couple more. We did this one a little longer because Angela joined a little later. But um, let's see. Somebody asked about Caged Wisdom. Caged Wisdom, is that a Arrested Development reference? I love it. Asked about Disney hotel discounts for July, and because they had booked a room with a discount and then a few days ago added a second room and there was no more discount. That is true. This is something that we noticed very recently as well. They had in January, Disney announced room discounts through, I believe, September, and then they disappeared. And I don't think it's an accident that happened since they have announced Galaxy's Edge, but I don't know. Normally, I actually looked just recently because we were looking at booking rooms for the people going for the Galaxy's Edge opening in August, and in previous years the fall discounts have been announced right around now, like mid-April. Um, so it's possible they are coming back and they will be announced, anytime now. But it is very weird that they were out there and then disappeared. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I think a lot of it's going to depend on what the hotel occupancy looks like. If they are filling up, I mean, there's been a lot of press about Disneyland and how all of their hotels are booked, which is not apparently totally true because the 2 nights in the Disneyland hotel I booked yesterday. So and in Grand Californian also had availability when I looked yesterday. So
Mm.
either people have canceled or they didn't actually put all the rooms out there at first, which I think is probably more likely. So only Disney knows what their occupancy looks like for August for Disney World. If it is very, very high, we might not
Mm-hmm.
see discounts at all for the fall.
Yeah.
If it is, lower than they expected, then all of a sudden we might see discounts. That's unfortunately, I think, how it's going to work.
We will end on this question. Is the not so scary Halloween party worth the cost? I feel like Brian and I will kind of have different opinions on this.
I think we might. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it really depends. I think that they have a great fireworks show, which they are changing up. So I'm very curious to see what that will look like. I think if you are someone who loves to meet characters, especially characters that don't come out a lot, that's something that would be for you. They have a fantastic parade. Again, that's only out, once a year.
Hmm.
So, and then, shorter lines, I'd say, not super short now that sometimes the parties are sold out and a little busier than they have been in the past. But if all of those things seem fun for you, I do think that it's worth it. It is hot. Now that they're starting the parties a little earlier, they're starting them in August and not just late August, but kind of like mid to earlier
Hmm.
August. I think like the 14th. But I've been, I think, twice, and I've enjoyed it each time. So if all those things sound fun, yeah, I think it's worth it. But Brian has a differing opinion.
Not as differing as you think, and it does. It starts August 16th this year. The Mickey's Not So Scary. My first time I was there was I was at the first party last year, and again you
Yeah.
can find that video where I'm told that I was a little bit cranky in it, which kind of makes sense. I was pretty cranky
And you
at the
went to
party.
you went to the
Um,
first party of the
it
year
was at the
too.
first. It was the first party. It
Yeah.
was very crowded. Uh, we
Very hot.
yes, it was even for Florida. It was hot. It was like almost literally 100 degrees, I think, that
Yeah.
day. Um, so it was not a pleasant experience. The parade I really liked. The fireworks are very cool. The rest of the stuff I could have kind of taken or left. The candy I found no value in whatsoever. The rides I didn't, I mean, some of the rides were a little less busy, but some of them were not. The Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Peter Pan were basically the similar weights to what you would see during a lot of days. Um,
Mhm.
so I don't think it's worth the money necessarily because it is a lot of money now. But I also think for most people you kind of know how much you're going to enjoy it if you just really love Halloween and that kind of atmosphere. You will probably enjoy it, and then maybe the money doesn't matter as much. But the short answer I think is probably no. It's not worth the money, but it can still be fun. And actually, before we jump, one last thing that we can answer very quickly. Janice asked if we think there will be Galaxy's Edge soft openings that they are visiting in July. The answer is no, there will not be. We have heard, at least for Disneyland, we've heard there will not be press events, there will not be pass holder events, we're not even sure if there will be cast member previews at all. They are apparently rushing very, very much to get it even open by the date that Bob Iger has set. And Disney World, we're hearing basically the same thing, that they were very surprised at what that opening date was. And so I think they are treating the opening as a soft opening. And when Rise of the Resistance, the second attraction in there, opens, I think that will be the official opening. And everybody in there before it will be testing it for them. So,
That does concern me a little bit for like ride breakdowns. So hopefully
mhm.
they'll get enough testing in with Smuggler's Run, but seeing as there aren't any soft openings or cast member ones,
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned.
And I think that's part of the reason why they're limiting the number of people in the land too, because they know, like, if that breaks down, they're looking at 8-hour lines, and that's
Mhm.
not good. So, all right, well, that is going to be it. Thank you all so much. We have gotten so many questions. I am
Mhm.
sorry for everyone that we didn't get to, because there was a lot. But thank you again, and thank you, Angela, for jumping on at the end there.
No, thanks for staying on longer. I appreciate it.
Bye,
All right.
everybody.